Time for Midday Live. Good afternoon. I am Wendy Lai. Top stories for this afternoon. Upper East Veterinary Service takes steps to control an outbreak of anthrax among cattle, which has left over 30 cattle dead in the Boko West district. More this afternoon on the business front. Inflation for March 10.4% compared with 10% figure recorded in February. We move to the flying front. A Nigerian Islamist group Boko Haram rejects an idea of an amnesty. Okay, so you can get interactive with me. Facebook and Twitter is News on TV3 or short code 1734 for the stories you do watch on Midday Live. Details coming up shortly. Please stay with me. We start with our stories now. And authorities at the Granata Senior High School in the Shayo-Sudoku district of the Greater Accra region have to convert the school's library and an uncompleted building into an examination hall to accommodate candidates writing the West African Senior Secondary Certificate examination. Daniel Ate was there and has come through with this report.
The Granata Senior High School registered 1,120 candidates made up of 532 male and 588 female. 2 students were however absent. 30 candidates occupy an examination hall to ensure free movement of invigilators. After a series of inspection by the District Director of Education, who had also visited the center, it was time to start work. We questioned why candidates are using this uncompleted building and the school's library as examination halls. Headmaster of the school, Benjamin Apekon, attributed the challenge to the increased number of students from the 2 batches.
The greatest challenge, I should say, has been the very infrastructure, the classroom that we have to use. This particular structure, last week we were restricted from using the top, because they want to start work on it, but we have to appeal. So infrastructure, the classrooms have been our problem. But
out of the 566 candidates who had registered for the exams at the Somanya Senior High Technical School, 4 were absent. Assistant headmaster of the school, Michael Tete, was happy about the invigilation. At the Yellow Krobo Senior High School, 795 students registered and sat for the exams. Some students who had finished with the first part of the paper spoke to TV3.
For the paper was as a normal paper. As how we get in, we thought that paper was stupid. The inferior was going to be very high. But as we went in and saw the paper, we found out that okay, it was okay.
It was normal. It was like all what they taught us since form 1. We concentrated on it, and when we went, it all came.
Although some argued the questions were not difficult, others believed they did not cover fully the syllabus due to the 3-year program.
To me, it was a little bit difficult, especially with the 3-year students. We've not been taught so much things, so it was very difficult for us to learn things that we've not been taught.
Headmaster of the school, Matthew Bawa, expressed satisfaction with the level of comportment. This year, 409,832 candidates are sitting for the exams throughout the country, as against the 173,655 who wrote the exams last year.
We continue with more on the Wasi and irate final year student of the College Senior High School at Dakuman in the Greater Accra region have protested failure of school authorities to register them for this year's West African Senior High School certificate examination. On the candidates and some parents accuse school authorities of duping them. And I do have on the phone line Midday, who is the Director of Public Affairs at the West African Examination Council work. Good afternoon, thanks for your time, madam.
Good afternoon.
Now, are you aware of what is happening or what happened at the College Senior High School?
Yes, we are aware about what happened at College Senior High School. College Senior High School has not been accredited by WAEC to register candidates for the 2013 WAS. In 2011, we derecognized the school because the registered candidates who were not their bona fide candidates. So the school is not an accredited center to register candidates for the NOVDEC.
So, but
for the region was, yes.
Okay, so does it mean that because they weren't accredited, that's how come they had this challenge with their pupils?
Yes, I understand that the headmaster and the director of the school took exam fees from the candidates. You know, even though they were not supposed to do that, and then they promised the candidates that they would register them for the May June WAS. So, you know, it got to the time of the exam, and the candidates realized that they were not eligible to write. That's why they went on one page, unfortunately, in the school.
So it means that you haven't had any contacts with the school at all for this year's registration?
When you say we haven't had any contact, we haven't. The school is not accredited to register candidates for the May June WAS.
Okay.
So they shouldn't have, you know, gone ahead to collect fees from candidates because we didn't even send them any fee list or anything.
Okay. But do they have accreditation for the NOVDEC?
Oh, they can register for the NOVDEC. The NOVDEC is a private candidate exam, so the candidates can register for the NOVDEC.
Now, the exams has already started. These pupils are angry because they have not been registered. Is there any way out for them?
They can register for the NOVDEC. For the May June, the exam is already ongoing. So unfortunately, they will not be able to take part in the May June exam, but they'll be able to take part in the November December exam. Registration is still in progress. So we urge them to register for the NOVDEC.
And still in the name of the school, or you would probably advise they move to another one?
No, they register as private candidates.
Okay.
Yeah.
But is this the only instance that you have seen, or there's some more that you sometimes do record where schools or some institutions do cover up in the name that, yes, they are institutions that run these exams outside this very situation you're seeing?
This is what has come to my notice now. I don't know of any other.
And from where you sit as the public relations or public affairs director for WAEC, what advice would you specifically give to parents and pupils who might be registering sometime later in the years for these exams? What specific things should they look out for in the schools they're probably attending?
I think that especially with the private schools, parents and candidates should know about the status of the school, whether the school is really accredited to register candidates for the May June WAS. Because if WAEC has given you a center number and you engage in a malpractice, and WAEC takes away the center number, means that your students cannot be registered in your school. So they should find out so that these things are prevented in the future.
Okay, well, thank you very much. I just spoke to Midday. She's the Director Public Affairs, West African Examination Council, and we're looking at the issue that has to do with the College Senior High School at Dakuman, and issues that has to do with pupils who were angry and destroyed some school property. She gave us what she didn't know and what pupils should also look out for before they do sit or register with their schools, be it private or known institution. But we look at some more straight to our headline story. An outbreak of anthrax among cattle has been reported in the Bawku West district of the Upper East region. 30 cattle have also been killed by the disease. I do have on the phone line the Upper East Regional Director of the Veterinary Service, Dr. Moses Chibodi. Good afternoon. Thanks for your time, Doctor. Dr. Boji, are you on the line, please? Well, we're trying to get Dr. Boji on the phone line, and we're going to look at the... Okay, you can hear me, Dr. Boji?
Any question for me?
Yes, there's a question for you. Good afternoon. You're live on TV3.
Hello?
Can you hear me, Doctor?
Hello?
Can you hear me, Dr. Boji?
Hello?
I think we're having some difficulty there. Dr. Boji is not really hearing me clearly, but we're working on that. We're going to talk to him about the outbreak of an anthrax among cattle that has been reported in the Bawku West district of the Upper East region. As we're told, 30 cattle have also been killed by the disease. We'll try and get him back on the phone line and talk to him about that very issue. But we'll look at some other stories. The Ghana Water Company has arrested Kuja for illegal selling of water around Ajingano. The action followed a report by TV3 on the widespread of illegal water sale within the area.
Widespread of illegal water tapping and sale within the Adenta municipality prompted the Ghana Water Company into action on Tuesday. A team led by the Regional Chief Manager Cephas Ogua, the Accra Northeast District Head Mark Kenneth Atta, and other heads carried out a swoop in the area and arrested one Seth Kudaji for illegally tapping water from the main pipeline for sale. His illegal pipelines were disconnected.
To follow up on the publication that you did, and when they went round, they found out that this gentleman who had been disconnected long ago for non-payment of water bills, and because he was selling the water too, he had reconnected himself without our knowledge. So this gentleman was arrested and brought to our office, and all the pipeline that he also laid, 2-inch pipelines and then 1.5-inch pipeline, they were all removed from the ground and brought to our office.
According to the Ghana Water Company, a number of private water distributors who were previously selling water illegally had been authorized to do so and pay bills to the water company. So we asked the Accra Area Communication Manager Yao Bema Bani if these activities are not responsible for irregular water supply to parts of the Adentan municipality.
We cannot directly link the lack of water to certain parts of Adenta to what is happening at Ajiringano. And I must also say that those at Ajiringano who are selling the water, it is not all of them that are illegal. Some of them, we bill them, we give them bills every month. And you can't link the difficulty in supplying water to Adenta to the sale of water at Ajiringano. It has no correlation whatsoever.
TV3 story on the...
You're still watching Midday Live on TV3. Now, the strike action by doctors in public health institutions has entered day 4. The situation has led to the influx of patients to private and mission hospitals across the country. And yesterday we did bring you an update from the Volta in the Ashanti region. We're going back to the Ashanti region. We have William Evans Inkum there who joined us live to tell us if the situation has changed or is still the same. I'm told that he is at the Kwadaso SDA Hospital, and he's going to update us on how patients are coping with the situation, how the auxiliary staff there are also coping with the situation, how emergency cases are being run there, how the dispensaries are also being run there. So he'll join us shortly to give us an update on the doctors and pharmacist strike in the Ashanti region. But remember, you can also get interactive on Facebook and Twitter. It's News on TV3 or short code 1734. If you have visited any public hospital lately, tell us what you're seeing there or your own experience there. If you've also been to a mission or a private hospital with your NHIS card, you can also send your comments on our social media platforms so that we can also read it out on Midday Live. But we're still waiting for William Evans Nkum to give us an update on the doctors and pharmacists strike at the public health institutions in the Ashanti region. But while we wait for Evans, we'll continue with the rest of our stories. When we do get him, we'll have him live for you to hear and know what is happening in the Ashanti region. But still on health, and the Police Hospital has expanded its facilities in an anticipated influx of patients as a result of a nationwide strike by doctors. Interior Minister Kwesi Ahoy called for an affirmative action to make the special hospital ready for national emergencies.
That often come under severe pressure anytime there is an industrial action by health workers. Management of the hospital instituted measures to deal with the challenges of increased healthcare needs. Offices and some special units that are not in high demand have all been converted into special care units ready to respond to the expectant influx. One of the 2 mobile clinics was expanded into a 15-capacity temporary outpatient unit with a second on standby. It is complete with a theatre and other emergency care units. The administration has also begun work on second block of the hospital annex, which is yet to be renovated into wards.
Dr. Gebe, the biomedical engineer, is working on a package to help us so that our equipment needs will be addressed. So I think that we are doing our best under the situation, and we will not turn anybody away.
The administration, however, needs support to equip the facility to meet increasing demand. Retired nurses and doctors are expected to be called to augment the current 22 doctors and 16 house officers.
We have received your request to support the emergency plan and other, equipment, logistics that you need. I will authorize that these items are supplied immediately as a back, up, for the emergency services.
I think Ghanaians should say we are tired of this strike. Every day, doctors going on strike. We should solve the problem at its fundamentals, and so that it will not be a repetitive life that we'll be living all our lives in this country.
You're still watching Midday Live. We're going back to the Ashanti region. Well, I was telling you that indeed the doctor strike has entered day 4. Doctors and pharmacists strike, I should say. The situation has led to the influx of patients to private and mission hospitals across the country. And we have the report from William Evans Nkum there.
Operation here, because obviously this is one of the major missionary hospitals in the Kumasi metropolis, so we're expecting a lot of patients trooping here to seek medical attention. But I'm not going to take the wind out of the sail, because I have with me here the medical director, and he's going to tell us everything, how they are managing pressure here. Good afternoon, Mr. Dr. Ajimai.
Good afternoon.
Well, Doc, tell us, how are you managing pressure here? Because you understand pressure here is very obvious, because of the doctor strike.
Yeah, this place is already a very busy hospital, being, as we have reported from the Ministry of Health, the second in terms of attendance after Kofonochi. So it is busy already, and since the strike started, which is just about 4 days now, there has been some increase in our attendance. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, today, Thursday is a little bit lighter, but it's been definitely some increase since the strike started.
All right, now let's look at NHIS card holders now. I think a lot of patients will be coming here with NHIS card. How are you also managing? Are you accepting NHIS cards?
Oh yes, we accept NHIS cards. There was a short period where we were told not to accept because of cost. The non-payment of the claims, but that was resolved within 5 days. So we accept all NHIS cards.
Okay. Well, I don't know if within the last 3 days you've been able to give me, a round figure as to the number of people who have turned up here. I know you are going to have an escalating figure, of course. Well, yes, that is quite obvious. But can you give us the number of patients who have turned up here?
Under normal circumstances, we see about 250 a day. There's been a marginal increase, maybe up to 300 or so since the strike started. But we have observed that initially some people thought that we were also part of the strike. Many people think that it's a government hospital. So some come and say, we thought you who are on strike, and we tell them that we are a mission hospital, we are not on strike. So if they actually have known that we are a mission hospital, they have suffered more. But there has been some marginal increase of about 50 extra per day.
All right, and what about that of the NHI card holders?
The NHIS card, practically everybody coming here has an NHIS. We're almost 100%, and we accept everything. So because of the capitation, people were afraid to come because in a certain region they are capitated. So if they are not supposed to come here, they don't want to come here. So we saw that people who were supposed to go to Centreso, they were saying that there's nobody being seen there, so they would try and come here. And when they come here, we rather let them go and change the capitation, which you can do in a few minutes, and come here, or whether they want to pay money, they pay money. But you know, Konfanochi is a referral center, so they don't go there as a primary treatment area. So those who have been coming here are really those who have been going to the other health facilities, government health facilities around the city.
All right, so that's a good news to patients here. But let me ask you my final question. Let's look at the facilities that you have here. Is it enough that you are able to manage the situation?
Well, to some extent, we have X-ray, we have ECG, we have scan, we have a theater, so to some extent, but you know, we can't compete with a teaching hospital. So even once, last 2 days or so, there was a serious accident which we had to stabilize here, but sent to Konfanochi emergency because we couldn't handle it.
All right, so that is the case here. I think it's positive to patients because they are giving medical attention to all patients who troop in here. And the good news is that they are also accepting NHIS card. I mean, that is positive news to patients. At least there is kind of a hope to many patients who are being denied at the moment at Konfanochi and other government hospitals. So from the SDA hospital here in Kwadaso, my name is William Evans Inkum. We will join Wendy Lai live on studios as she continues with the rest of the stories on Midday Live.
Thank you very much indeed, William Evans Inkum. He brought us an update from the Kwadaso SDA hospital. He was still looking at the strike by pharmacists and doctors and how the hospital is coping with patients over there. We'll look at some other stories on Midday Live. Communications Minister Dr. Omani Boamah has stressed on the need for the country to move away from mere ICT infrastructure developments to its application to enhance lives. He made the observation when the U.S. ambassador paid a courtesy call on him in Accra.
The two spoke on how best to strengthen ties and collaborate to better the lives of citizens in the area of information and communication technology. Cybersecurity was top on the agenda.
We need to move beyond mere development of ICT infrastructure and telecommunication infrastructure to applications of ICT for the betterment of our people. And we are talking about e-health, we are talking about e-education. As a result of the enhancement in the infrastructure that we are developing, that is converting the WiMAX sites to LTE, that is a long-term evolution, that is going to have better picture quality and all that. So this transmission of data will be far more enhanced than even the kind of data transmission that we are having these days.
We had some of our people coming from the United States to talk about the issues that countries are facing with the widespread dissemination of information and the internet, and that the protection of information and to stop hackers is a very critical issue for all countries, Ghana, United States, everybody.
The Chief Executive Officer and Board Chairman of Millicom Ghana, operators of Tigo, also called on the Minister. Dr. Omani Boamah called for hard work at ensuring continued quality service, stressing the sector is a key to the economy. The board chairman, Tesmak Inja, told the Minister of Plans by Millicom Ghana to expand and remain resolute in quality service delivery. The Israeli ambassador Sharon Bali also paid a courtesy call on the communications minister. The two shared experiences and discussed how they could forge ahead in terms of development.
Now we go back to one of our stories that we're trying to talk to a veterinary doctor rather, in the Boko West district on the issue that has to do with the outbreak of anthrax. And the outbreak of anthrax among cattle has been reported in the Boko West district of the Upper East region. Well, 30 cattle have so far been killed by the disease, and I do have on the phone line the Upper East Regional Director of Veterinary Service, Dr. Moses Boji. Hello, Doctor. Can you hear me now, Doctor? We're still having some challenge and difficulty there. Okay, are you there, Doctor?
No, I'm not hearing any question.
Can you hear me now?
Hello?
Can you hear me, Doctor?
Hello?
Now, when we tried on Tuesday, we did speak to, I think we're still having some difficulty there trying to talk to Dr. Moses Boji on the outbreak of anthrax among cattle in the Upper East region. We're still trying to work on the phone lines. When we do get him, we'll talk to him about that very issue. But to some more stories, the Ajina Senior High and Technical School in the Sujaman district of the Eastern region is facing infrastructural challenge. Now, majority of pupils offered admission refused to turn up due to the lack of accommodation at that very school. Edward Balami was on the story.
Senior High and Technical School in the Sujaman district of the Eastern region was established in 1979 as an experimental school and later became a community day school. The school has a single classroom block put up decades ago. It houses SHS 1 to 4 students with a total of 532 students. Only the headmaster resides on campus. The school has a single storeroom where books, foodstuff and other stationery are kept. Equipment and chemicals kept in this room for science practicals are gradually being destroyed by rodents. This building accommodates a workshop for building and construction students, while this room serves as the metalworks department. The headmaster's office, the computer lab, and the rooms housing some 84 female students are all on this block. The school has rented an apartment in town for 55 male boarders. This is the school's kitchen and dining hall. Next to it is the bathhouse. Following the challenges facing the school, a retired educationist and philanthropist, Seth Esiedu Akuma, has donated books, computer software, tools for practicals worth over $10,000 to support teaching and learning.
I decided that if I am retiring from education and I can do something to help the children, especially from this area where I was born, is something that it's like a privilege to me to do it. I'm telling all Ghanaians abroad to look back home to see to it that we can help our children. These are our children, and if we can help them, then who else will help them?
Now, following the resignation of Alhaji Mohammed Mumuni, Member of Parliament for the Kumbungu constituency in the Kumbungu district of the Northern region, in accordance with Article 112 subsection 5 of the Constitution as amended by Section 3 of Act 527, the Electoral Commission with its release says that it will hold a by-election in the constituency on Tuesday, which is April 30, 2013. The Commission will take nominations for the said by-election on Tuesday, 16th and Wednesday, 17th of April 2013 at the district office of the Commission at Kumbungu District Assembly from 8 a.m. to 12:30, which is in the afternoon, and 1:30 p.m. in the afternoon to 5. Nominations forms may be obtained from the district office of the commission at Kumbungo or at the regional office of the commission at Tamale. Candidates for the election shall provide 2 recent photographs, which is a bust size with red background, on the submission of their nomination forms. The filing fees for the election is 1,000 Ghana cedis. All interested individuals and political parties are to take note and act accordingly. And that's from the chairman of the Electoral Commission, Dr. Aferijan. Staying with us, you're still watching Midday Live on TV3, and we have the lady with all the facts and figures from the world of business, Naneke Asari, standing by then. And I'm told that inflation for March moved to 10.4 as against, or comparing it to that of February, which was 10%. I'm sure you have more on that for us this afternoon.
Right, Wendy will be telling you all the detail now, reasons why March 2013 figure was pegged at 10.4 from up to 10%. We have the detail here. We'll also be looking at the consequences of dollarization to the Ghanaian economy, and of course on the foreign front we'll be looking at some Japan car makers recalling some of their vehicles, perhaps possibly due to some defects with airbags. So we bring you the detail of these and more. Stay with us. Right, so very good afternoon and thanks so much for joining us. It's time for us to do some business now. Quickly to our very first story for this morning. My name is Naneke Asari, and our first story, the Ghana Statistical Service has pegged inflation for March at 10.4% compared with the 10% figure recorded in February. The monthly change rate for March was 1.7% as against 2.6% recorded in February 2013. Detail.
The acting government statistician Dr. Philomena Nyako, the year-on-year non-food inflation rate was 13.2% compared to 12.6% for the previous month. Food and non-alcoholic beverages group recorded an average year-on-year inflation rate of 5.5%, 0.2 percentage points higher than the 5.3% in February. The price drivers for food inflation were milk, cheese and eggs. Mineral water, soft drinks and juices all registered inflation rates between 10.4 and 15.2%.
We say that in March 2013, the year-on-year inflation rate was 10.4%, up from 10.0% recorded in February 2013. The year-on-year inflation rate for March is the highest since June 2010. The monthly change rate for March 2013 was 1.7% compared to a value of 2.6% recorded for February 2013.
3 regions, including the Greater Accra, Ashanti and Northern, recorded inflation rates above the national average of 10.4%. Head of Statistics at the Ghana Statistical Service, Magnus Ebodankan, tells TV3 prices of petroleum products will affect inflation figures in the months ahead.
And looking at some more stories, government's budget for 2013 is yet to provide a clear-cut financial allocation to address issues on climate change. Well, the Ghana Climate Adaptation Network, a civil society group, believes failure to provide financial assistance could affect Ghana's chances in fighting climate change. According to the group, the Ministry of Food and Agriculture, together with other MMDAs, have not provided clear-cut guidelines on fighting climate change.
The Ministry of Food and Agriculture has not mentioned climate change in its part of the budget statement. Indeed, some actions such as the provision of improved seeds, subsidized fertilizer, provision of irrigation facilities, and provision of extension services could qualify.
Has also urged the Ministry of Finance to institute a climate change fund.
The Ministry of Finance should enforce its directives on climate change and consistently capture climate change in its annual budget guidelines. The ministry should endeavor to make its climate change unit more active while considering steps to initiate a local climate adaptation fund.
In the 2013 budget, government earmarked 5,366 cedis to fight poverty. But the civil society group believes the amount could be used in reducing vulnerability and build resilience to climate change. And I was telling you about some Japan cars recalling their vehicles. Well, Japan's top 4 car makers are recalling a total of 3.4 million cars over a defect in passenger airbags. Toyota, which is recalling 1.73 million cars, said the vehicles had a defective part which could cause the airbag inflator to rupture and deploy the airbag abnormally in a crash. And globally, Honda is recalling 1.13 million cars, Nissan almost 500,000, and Mazda 45,000, and these cars ranges between the 2000 and 2004 model. I don't know if you bought your cars with any of the dealers, but you should be looking out for that. We'll be getting you the detail more on that later, how many cars have been recalled so far by most of these car dealers. And I was also talking about dollarization in the economy. Well, it is having its own effect against the Ghana cedi. If you walk into a hotel or a shop and you would have to pay dollars instead of paying in cedis, or they quote dollars and they give you the equivalent. Well, the Ghana cedi this time around recouped some of its previous days lost and composite value after this morning session with respective gains. At least we saw some gains against all 4 major trading currencies. Talking about the dollar, the local currency climbed 31 pesos to the dollar despite a strong downward pressure on the cedi by corporate demand. So you have it there, 1 Ghana cedi 93 pesos. That is against the dollar, and also 1 Ghana cedi 96 pesos. That is how it is trading against the dollar. Let's quickly look at how it is trading against the euro this morning by 9 a.m. and it's trading at 2 Ghana cedis 90 pesos for the buying price, as well as 2 Ghana cedi 97 pesos. So we will be telling you why you would have to walk into a shop and pay for dollars instead of cedis. Later at 4:30, we'll also be bringing you more on the commodity markets. That will be it for business. Wendy, I don't know if you would want to pay in dollars when you enter a hotel rather than
I was going to ask you the same question. I'll go for cedis.
The cedi is always the best.
Yes. Well, thank you very much, Nanika. Sorry for the business updates. You're still watching Midday Live. Stories making headlines this afternoon. Upper East Veterinary Service takes steps to control an outbreak of anthrax among cattle, which has left over 30 dead in the Woko West District. Inflation, as you did hear, Nanika, sorry, on the business front for March, 10.4%, compared to 10% figure recorded in February. And in foreign news, Nigerian Islamist group Boko Haram rejects an idea of amnesty. The news returns shortly. We have sports and international news. Do stay on. You're welcome back. You're still watching Midday Live, and I do have the Red Tiger here in the studio, and we're discussing issues that has to do with the Black Stars dropping on their 20th position to 22nd position. Not very interesting news there, Joel.
Well, not very interesting, but the FIFA Coca-Cola ranking is monthly, so obviously they're going to bounce back. And also we have news on the DIU saying he might be exiting Olympic Marseille at the end of the season, as well as we'll be running by you the MTN FA Cup, the last 8. And join us here on TV3 as we bring you live the UEFA Europa game between Newcastle and Benfica. We're back after this. For Youth and Sports, Elvis Free Anchor has called on the corporate Ghana and organizations to assist lesser funded sports to enable them compete internationally. He noted lesser funded sports have the potential to put Ghana on the world stage. He made this observation when he received members of the national under-19 cricket team who won the tournament in South Africa last month.
Minister of Youth and Sports Elvis Afriyankra congratulated members of the national under-19 cricket team for their sterling performance in annexing the ICC Africa Zone 2 under-19 tournament held in South Africa. He noted despite the financial constraints facing the Cricket Association, they have been able to surmount them to make Ghana proud. He promised his ministry's commitment to help less funded sports to compete favorably to win laurels for the country.
And there are many other talents out there who need just a little support to be able to realize and maximize their potential. These young men are at a very critical stage in their lives. They are defining themselves and their personalities, and by having the exposure, going through the discipline of training and competition, it builds their personality and makes them better citizens who can contribute positively to the development of this country.
The national under-19 cricket team's triumph in South Africa a fortnight ago thus qualified them to participate in the upcoming Africa Zone 1 tournament in Kenya in May. It is worthy to note that Ghana swept aside the best bowler and man of the tournament prize in South Africa.
Alright, so before we go, let me just run by you the teams that have qualified for the MTN FA quarterfinals here in Ghana. Aduana Stars, Kumasi Asante Kotoko qualifying yesterday after that 3-0 defeat over Rainbow Stars. Amidaos, Mediama, Gold Stars, Accra Hearts of Oak, Hearts of Lions, and Sekondi 11 Wise. So there you have it. There 6 Premier League sides and 2 Division 1 sides there for the quarterfinals of the MTN FA Cup here in Ghana. That's it by way of sports. We're coming through with more sports update later on News 360, but stick and stay with TV3. We bring you live game is the UEFA Europa action between Newcastle and Benfica. John Michael Otieje and his panel as we bring you that game tonight. Wendy?
Well, thank you, Joel. I was going to ask you who you're going to bet on.
Looking at the way the first leg went, I'm going to definitely bet on Benfica because Newcastle is throwing by 3-1, and let's see how the aggregates go.
But football is dynamic.
Anyway, let's see.
It can change, though. All right, thank you, Joel. Hey, Chambo, he brought us a sports update. We're continuing with our stories. You're still watching Midday Live. British High Commissioner to Ghana, Peter Jones, has described former UK Prime Minister Baroness Margaret Thatcher as a strong character who promoted the strengths of privatization to revive the economy and international politics through working to bring communism. Meanwhile, a book of condolence has been opened in her honor for the next 3 days at the High Commission's office in Accra.
And for Britain, obviously, we've lost one of our most famous and most distinguished prime ministers. You get that sense that here was somebody of global importance whose passing is something that strikes people all around the world. And of course, we can think about her partnership with President Reagan in the United States, the ending of the Cold War, and that international setting. But this is somebody who has passed who made an impact not just on their own country, but on the wider world.
Being the first woman Prime Minister of the United Kingdom, Baroness Margaret Thatcher is fondly remembered by the United Kingdom and the world over.
A great focus was on liberating the private sector, empowering the individual, making societies open and free, including in an economic sense, promoting the private sector within Britain and in other countries too. And I think you see her legacy around the world. I mean, not just in the way that Britain changed, but other countries as well. Some of the developments that happened in Eastern Europe after the fall of communism there. Of course, the great partnership and friendship she struck up with President Gorbachev of the Soviet Union as that part of the world was going through a transformation. But you see the legacy more generally. If you think of how China has changed, for example, since the 1980s, and what a great center of economic activity and private enterprise that is now. In Africa too, we see thriving economies, not least here in West Africa, Ghana itself, where you can see that an emphasis on the private sector and on empowering individual people has really had an impact around the world.
But how would Margaret Thatcher be remembered by Africa?
And of course she took an interest in African developments too, in southern Africa, thinking of Zimbabwe, for example, the peace process there that led to change in Zimbabwe. But this is somebody, I think, of global significance, and I think she is somebody who the history books will remember.
The former Prime Minister, to many Africans, played a controversial role in the continent's liberation struggle, and especially for apartheid.
And I think it's important to remember that she as an individual was affected by terrorism. You may remember the bombing of the hotel in Brighton where she was staying during a Conservative Party conference, where, I mean, she and her family and her close colleagues were directly affected by a terrorist attack. So she felt very, very strongly about that issue. And she was somebody who stood up for what she thought was right. Sometimes people disagreed with that, but I don't think you could ever doubt her sense of commitment and her wish to do what she felt was the right thing.
Meanwhile, the British High Commission has opened a book of condolence in Accra to honor her memory for the next 3 days.
Elsewhere on the globe, the Nigerian Islamist group Boko Haram has rejected the idea of an amnesty. Last week, President Goodluck Jonathan asked a high-level team to look into the possibility of granting the militants a pardon. The announcement was made via an audio statement believed to be from the group's leader. Meanwhile, the youth wing of the Christian Association of Nigeria has warned President Goodluck Jonathan against granting any kind of amnesty deal to the militants group known as Boko Haram. The group called the proposition a clarion call to all terrorism in Nigeria. Well, thank you so much for watching Midday Live. We'll end it here. Be back same time tomorrow. Good afternoon. I'm Wendy Live.